Jet2 Holidays is the last UK operator of the Boeing 757, once a staple of UK holiday and charter operations for the last 40 years. Back in September 2024, I managed to fly in one between Manchester and Faro. Here's my trip report from that flight. For the majority of their flights at Manchester, Jet2 normally use Terminal 2, so I turned up here. After trying to get through and my boarding pass being rejected, I had to sprint to Manchester's Terminal 1, where for the summer season a lot of their flights had moved to, just because of the demand and how many flights Jet2 actually have out of Manchester. Terminal 1 is due to be decommissioned as part of the airport's larger redevelopment plan, which saw Terminal 2 expanded massively, having been open since 1962. Whether it gets knocked down or not, that's currently unknown, but it does have the only gate in Manchester able to handle the A380. At the time of taking this flight, Jet2 operated 6 Boeing 757-200s, G-LSAN, E, I, J, K and N. Since then, 3 have since been phased out, with 3 currently remaining. 1 to be retired in December, and the final 2 leaving the fleet in January 2025. At their peak, Jet2 had between 12 to 15 757s during the peak summer seasons, with Jet2 operating some of the oldest 757s in the world. The aircraft that took me to Faro was G-LSAN, a 30-year-old Boeing 757, which first flew in 1994. It was the second youngest 757 in Jet2's fleet. Jet2 took delivery of this 757 in May 2012, where it remained with them for 12 years until permanently being retired to St Athan in Wales in November 2024. Jet2 have even used their 757s for Christmas charter flights to New York for the Christmas markets. This was before the COVID pandemic, and I'm not entirely sure if they have operated these flights since then. But they flew the flights from the likes of Newcastle, Glasgow and Manchester. Terminal 1 notoriously has absolutely abysmal airport security. Long story short, I got stopped and had to empty my entire bag simply because something in my bag basically flared up as a liquid when it wasn't. So yeah, this was frustrating, and I had to sprint after security straight to my gate. If I had got to Terminal 1 after going to the wrong terminal 10, maybe 15 minutes later, I was 100% missing this flight, so I got really lucky. By the time I got to the gate, boarding had just started. In the background of this clip is a Jet2 A321neo, which is going to replace the 757s and eventually, down the line, Jet2's 737s. Jet2 have well over 150 A321neos on order. For this flight I was sat in seat 9F, which had the absolute perfect view of the classic Rolls-Royce RB211 engines. Now, normally in these videos I'd have some music playing, but this is an exception, and I've been trying a few new things lately with the format of these videos, and it's been a long time since I've done one of these, so the commentary will resume at the in-flight section of the video. Now, I hope the aviation geeks that are probably watching this video enjoy the pure sound of those 2 Rolls-Royce engines.
Lighting in the ceiling and in the aisle along the floor. Take a look for your nearest exits now, bearing in mind that they may be behind you.
If you need to leave the plane quickly, take off your shoes or anything that may damage the slide. Leave all.
Well, that takeoff was something else. You just can't beat that classic sound. The legroom was average, but it was able to do me fine for the next few hours. On a longer flight, I would have struggled a little bit. For reference, I'm 6 foot tall. The seat pocket contained a safety card, an in-flight magazine, a summer duty-free savings card, an in-flight shop magazine, and menu. The menu had an alright choice of food and drink. When booking your flight, you can pre-order a meal for a cost, which is exactly what I done. Jet2 has a variety of different options. I opted for the penny bolognese pasta. Any Italians watching this will probably despise my choice. It also came with a few extras, to my surprise. Some crackers, cheese, and a chocolate mousse. Overall, the food tasted decent, to be honest, one of the better low-cost flight meals I've had. Drinks were also included: tea, coffee, water, or juice. I opted for some water and a Pepsi Max can. The standout for me from the meal had to be the chocolate mousse. It tasted great and was just the cherry on top of the whole thing. Here's a quick look at the other options Jet2 offers with their pre-order meal service, which is better than what their onboard menu offers. When you do pre-order a meal, Jet2 also offers slight discounts, 10% just for the meal, but if you go for seat selection and meal selection, it's 20% off the food and the seat selection. I would recommend doing this option, especially on a flight longer than 2 hours with them. The sunset over somewhere over the Atlantic was actually pretty nice. Even though Jet2 is the last passenger operator of the 757 in the UK, the likes of TUI, the now defunct Thomas Cook and Monarch all had sizable 757 fleets back in the day, flying holiday destinations across Europe, Africa and Asia. British Airways at one point operated over 50 757s. They were one of the launch customers for the type as well, and took delivery of their first aircraft in 1983. The 757 has really been a backbone for UK aviation for well over 40 years, not just carrying passengers, for carrying cargo as well. The flight was around 2/3 full with 168 passengers on board. Thankfully, the flight was not swapped out for a 737, with the 757s becoming a lot more unreliable in Jet2's fleet. I got really lucky with this flight still remaining as a 757. The cabin itself did have that kind of retro look to it, although the seats were the usual standard slimline seats that every other low-cost airline uses. The toilet was just like every other plane toilet, although with the kind of 1980 retro stuff you'd expect from a plane built and designed in that time period. Instead of a button to flush the toilet, it was a retro handle, which is unusual in planes these days. The toilet lock was also broken, the aircraft slightly showing its age, so I kind of had to hold it locked, just in case no one tried to burst in when I was trying to do the toilet. So yeah, it was a bit annoying, but it is what it is. Jet2 also have a lot of their destinations on their overhead bins, a nice little unique feature about their cabins. There was another onboard service, and I bought some fruit pastels just as we were starting to descend into Faro. Here's the nighttime landing into Faro, where it was warm and not raining. Video commentary will resume after the landing. Overall, the flight with Jet2 was great, especially being able to fly on board one of their classic 757s. The onboard experience was decent. It was one like many of your typical holiday flights. What makes Jet2 stand out has to be their pre-order meal service. Not all low cost or holiday airlines offer this service, and a bonus with Jet2 is the portion they offer. Not a lot of airlines offer the amount of food that Jet2 actually does. They have a good selection of not only pre-order meals to choose from, but their general menu as well is relatively decent compared to some of the other airlines. In terms of the 757, it was great to be able to fly in one, given they are very shortly being retired from Jet2's fleet in January 2025. This ending a 20-year era with the airline, but also for UK aviation, bringing a near 42-year history of UK airline passenger 757s to a close. The 757 has really stood the test of time, but its design and age has caught up to airlines, making it obsolete. The replacement A321neos offering 30 to 40% operational cost improvements. From an aviation geek like myself's perspective, it's gonna be a shame when these go, especially given how quieter new aircraft are. Plus, the 757 has a lot of character to it. Even though Jet2 will be retiring their 757s, they won't be leaving the UK skies just yet. Icelandair still operate regular 757 flights to the UK, and Edinburgh, during the peak summer season, has 5 daily United Airlines 757 flights to America. Both have A321neos on order, including the A321XLR, which very recently entered service and is viewed as the like-for-like replacement for the 757. Icelandair plan to retire their 757s in 2027, whilst United don't have a date just yet, but it will be before the end of this decade. Turns out there was a couple more av geeks like myself on this flight. We asked for a quick cockpit visit and we were allowed. The cabin crew and pilots were all lovely, and they were all very passionate about the 757. This particular 757 has been retrofitted with a glass cockpit, modernising the flight deck. Instead of small little panels or screens, there are 4 big ones. All the main information is on these screens, such as the artificial horizon, vertical velocity, airspeed indicators, and the most important part, the flight route is a lot more visible. The captain also informed me the last flight would be between Manchester and Geneva on the 5th of January. I may or may not be on that flight, who knows? Time will tell if a video or two appears on the channel. Thanks for watching this video on board Jet2's 757. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.